Fort McMurray Christian School has undergone a unique history over the past 30 years of offering Christian education to families and students of Fort McMurray. In this portion, I will focus on the early years from its beginning to the first class in the fall of 1993, and then the years that followed. In Alberta, as well as many other provinces, education is under the direction of the provincial government. And in Alberta, private Christian schooling was happening throughout the province. But in order to start a school, you needed to have a minimum of 13 students and a teacher to start a program. And that happened for Fort McMurray in the fall of 1993. The history contained here, especially the early years before my arrival in Fort McMurray, is indebted to many people, some of which I mentioned their names here. Persons like Mr. and Mrs. Hannemeyer, Mr. and Mrs. Harry Belfair, and Mrs. Vincella Thompson and her children were very influential in putting together some of the early information from memories and pictures that they would share with me. Vision for a Christian school was realized as a group of parents met together in a meeting chaired by Pastor Steve Johnson, and they established a society in the early 1990s. And contained in this document, you can see the names of a number of people that became members of that society in years previous to the school actually starting operations in 1993. In the first 5 years of operation of Fort McMurray Christian School, it would see many changes. But what was consistent with each of the years moving forward was the addition of an additional grade each year, as well as addition of new students that would call Fort McMurray Christian School home. Starting out initially with 13 students, and in the 1997-98 school year, finishing June with 58 students. With this continued growth of the student population, it found that it was unable to stay in one facility. So over the period of 5 years, the school made 3 different venues as home. The first being Evergreen Christian Reformed Church. Then there was a move to the local Catholic school in a partnership with them that allowed them to operate 2 classes in the St. Anne's building before moving to the former PAOC facility, which is now known as Family Christian Center, in January of 1997. As has been said, much of the information that's contained in these 5 years of the operation of the Christian school is based on materials and oral history of the people that I have come in contact with. And probably that this written record based on oral history may not be entirely accurate. Therefore, any reader with knowledge of the early history of Fort McMurray Christian School should feel free to pass on any corrections or additional pertinent information that they have access to. Fort McMurray Christian School begins its 4th decade of operation in Fort McMurray. I would like to remind all of us of the 30 years that have passed and the struggles and challenges that were encountered in the early years, and the individuals that realized the vision that God had given them for Christian education in the city. And what we have today in Fort McMurray Christian School is a vision that was birthed some 30 years ago by a group of parents on the premise of exploring the models of education available to see what avenues were available to establish a private Christian school in Fort McMurray. From what you're enjoying, I think you would agree with me that it was a good choice for these founding fathers and mothers to move forward with the vision that God had established in them.